Yeah, I have my cheat sheet. I have my cheat sheet. Start now, right? I call to order this meeting of the Tax Committee today, Wednesday, May 21st, 2014. I'm Councilmember Wasami. I am joined by Palmisano, Fry, Goodman, Quincy, Blong Yang, Andrew Johnson, Lisa Bender, Kevin Reich, Alondra Cano, and Cam Golden. Today we have before us the 2014 Board of Appeal on Equalization Report. We are going to be joined by Julie Johnson from the Clerk's Office, as well as Patrick Todd, our City Assessor, to give us a presentation. Go ahead. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Julie Johnson, representing the City Clerk's Office. We're here to deliver the 2014 Report of Board of Appeal and Equalization as required by Chapter 5 of the City Charter and various state laws. That report includes recommendations affecting the assessments of various properties within the City of Minneapolis to be confirmed by action of the City Council. The request is accompanied by the report of the Special Board of Review, which is the City's Board of Appeal and Equalization. As the committee is aware, the board arbitrates disputes between property owners and the city concerning property classification or market value assessments. The board has the authority to decrease, sustain, or increase the market value of a property. In accordance with city policy, the board consists of 3 members, which includes 1 licensed realtor, 1 certified appraiser, and 1 freeholder or property owner. The city's Board of Appeal and Equalization recommends that the adjustments and corrections made to the city's assessment rules, if approved by City Council, be transmitted to the City Assessor, to the Hennepin County Board of Appeal and Equalization, and to the State Tax Commissioner in order to give full effect to the adjusted and corrected assessment rules for the City of Minneapolis. Accompanying the RCA are the proceedings of the Board of Appeal and Equalization within the minutes of the Friday, May 2nd and Friday, May 9th hearings. The May 2nd hearing minutes are labeled Attachment A1 and A2, and the May 9th hearing minutes are labeled Attachment B1, B2, C, D, and E. A synopsis of the final actions is provided on the table shown on the RCA. You can see a total of 540 appeals were filed this year, which was an increase in the volume of appeals compared to the prior year of approximately 79%. Of the total 540 appeals, 219 were filed with the clerk's office after the April 4th deadline. The list of late submittals is reflected in Attachment E, titled Late Applicants. Because these appeals were not submitted by the filing deadline, they were not heard by the city's board. However, under state law, those appeals are entered in the city's records and then for possible hearing by the Hennepin County Board of Appeals. The county's board meets in June. Of the 540 qualifying appeals, 244 property owners reached a concurrence with the assessor's office on a lowered valuation prior to the board's hearing. The list of these concurrences is included in Attachment D in your briefing materials titled Concurred Applicants. The reduction of appeals caused by late submittals and concurrences resulted in only 27 appeals ultimately being presented before the Board of Appeal and Equalization. The Board of Appeal and Equalization convened in an open session on Friday, May 2nd, and was sworn and impaneled by our office. Over the course of 2 days, the board received and considered the qualifying appeals and adjourned at 2:05 on May 9th, having completed its work. The disposition of these 27 qualified appeals is reflected on the table on the RCA. Consequently, this committee is requested to act upon the recommendations submitted by the City Board of Appeal and Equalization for property assessments for 2014. As reflected in the table, the recommendation is to hold the valuation for 9 properties, as determined by the City Assessor, to grant reductions in valuation for 17 properties, and to increase the valuation of 1 property. Your City Assessor, Patrick Todd, may have further comments he would like to make. Then we would both be pleased to stand for any questions the committee may have. I'd like to extend a special thank you to the members of the Board of Appeal of Equalization that served this year. Tad Marinack and Paul Grace were the certified appraisers. Sandy Lesher and Pat Werner were the licensed realtors. And Jeff Larson and Earl Netwall were the property owners. I'd also like to thank Rebecca Wynn and Sue Iquento of the clerk's office. They did a great job of facilitating the board this year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Todd?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Patrick Todd. I'm the Minneapolis City Assessor. Thank you for having me today. I want to start with probably a thank you. I oftentimes forget thank yous, but the city clerk's office actually did an outstanding job this year. All the staff, the packets were done very well. They were done timely. All the communications with the taxpayers, which is a very challenging time for many taxpayers, were handled very, very well. And the process went without a hitch. So I think that they really do outstanding work at the clerk's office. So I wanted to get that first and foremost. So, but just to give you a little bit of a background, we're about a third of the way through the assessment process. So we did have our valuations, all the residential valuations sent out by the end of January, and the rest of the assessments, the apartments, the commercial, the industrial, we had those sent out in February. And then on the valuation notices, it talks about to any property owner that doesn't agree with their value, they can surely call the assessor's office, and the phone number that we provided was to the appraiser's desk of the person that put the value on there. So we really do try to make sure that the property owners have the opportunity to talk to somebody knowledgeable about their value. After a period of time between 30 and 45 days, the informal, what we would term an informal review period ends, and we get into more of a formal appeal process, which is the city, or what we would call, it's oftentimes referred to as the local board. The local board is something you do have to apply to, and then we do set up appointments with the property owners to go out and take a look. We do our analysis. We then either our value is supported, or if in fact on some situations, and actually and if you take a look at the statistics, there are a number that we do drop after we've done a thorough analysis. So we can take care of those, or the property owners have the opportunity to go before the board and plead their case, and we would do the same thing. Each side gets about 10 minutes to talk, and then the board makes a decision based on the information that they've been provided by the property owner as well as my staff. So that's just kind of give you a high-level analysis. Now that the county or the city board is over with, the only people that have the ability to continue to appeal their values are the people that were actually heard before the local board or the city board. And we have a number of them, probably up to close to 200. Many of them were filed because of the late filing. We had an April 4th deadline. Many of these, or 214, came in after that deadline. And the reason why we have the deadline is because we need time to get the appraisers out there, take a look, do the analysis, and then get back to the homeowner with a reasonable offer, and then give them some time to think about it, weigh out their options, and make a determination whether they want to pursue their avenue of appeal. So, so then automatically those 214 get moved on to the county, because everybody should have an opportunity to appeal. So after this local board, after the county board closes, and that's June 17th for the city of Minneapolis, all the values are locked down, and the only way you can appeal your value is through tax court at that point in time. So we're really at the very, very end stages of anybody to appeal their value. In your packet, you do have, I have just a short PowerPoint presentation. It is in your e-packet if you want to look at it electronically, or you do have a color copy in front of you. Just to give you an idea, as far as the change in our values from 2013, January 2nd, 2013 to this most current assessment year 2014, the city tax base grew about 9.5%. And that's a median. That's actually not a median. That is the growth in the residential and commercial and industrial tax base. In some areas in North Minneapolis and some other areas, we did see some slight reductions still because of some of the foreclosures and short sales, and we saw some property values increases as high as 15% in the southwest area as well. So we had quite a range still happening in Minneapolis, but we think we tracked with the real estate market, and it's pretty consistent with some of the data that we're seeing from other real estate professionals out there. If you look at slide number 3, it just kind of shows the last few years, in 2009, we had the peak year of 1,335 board applicants. This year, we're starting to get back up there because I think anytime you start raising values, even though people like to see their value go up, there is oftentimes a corresponding property tax increase, and it gets people uncomfortable, and they oftentimes want to make sure that their values are correct. So to see that trending from 302 in 2013 to 540 is just not uncommon. If we take the next slide, appeals by ward, I think that if I were in your shoes, I'd want to know how often or what percentage of people from my particular ward are appealing the values. And if you can take a look, Ward 13 was our by far the most popular ward for those appeals, but it also was the neighborhood that probably saw the largest set of increases. And other than that, it was a pretty normal year for all the other neighborhoods. If we go to slide number 6, this is just a kind of a summary report, and Julie Johnson kind of already gave you some of these numbers. We had a total of 540 appeals. We had 219 lates. The board heard 27. We did come up with 254 concurrences, and concurrences where my staff had gone out, we've taken a look at the values, and we actually found that, yes, there was a reason for us to reduce these values. And I think that is, again, kind of a testament to how the process works. When we send out 130,000 notices, it's really foolish of us to think that we're going to hit every one of them perfect. So there's a percentage that we absolutely need to go out and take a look at, and if they're wrong, we will reduce them. So 254 were reduced, and then 40 were canceled. Those are people that we went out, did our analysis, and based on the analysis, we really felt that the value was fine. We were able to talk to those people, either show them our analysis or whatever the case may be, and they agreed that they would just cancel their board application. So those people were feeling like their value was fair and reasonable. If you go to slide number 6, these are appeals by property type. And again, probably not surprisingly, it's the residential that we saw the greatest number of property tax increases, or appeals, I should say. And that is just because our residential tax base was growing faster than just about any other part of the real estate market at this point in time. But again, I think just from a council member standpoint, I always think that this is interesting statistics to check. And then when we take a look at the slide number 7, I break it down by a value range because as a city assessor, I want to see, if there are certain brackets that I think that we should be more aware of, or, when we're making these decisions, is it adversely or impacting one property type or this one property value range. And so it's just some more information that we look at, and it seems pretty normalized based on the ranges and values that we have in the city of Minneapolis. And then the last slide is just the board statistics, and that the city clerk has already addressed in her presentation. So that's the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to stand for questions at this time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Todd. And we're joined by Vice President Elizabeth Glidden. And the first question goes to Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Todd, I had a question on the slide 7 with the appeals by value range.
Yes.
Is that just residential, or does that include the appeals by commercial properties? I'm just wondering if the values that are shown there, the ranges of values, size, might impact by commercial versus residential.
Okay. Through the chair, Councilmember Quincy, this would be just the residential property values. Statistically, we don't get that many commercial. I think this year we had 2 or 3 commercial properties that did appeal. In many cases, commercial property values don't appeal. I think they like to go to tax court is more of the avenue. Smaller commercial properties do, but we didn't have that many. And again, we didn't move the values on residential or commercial, values much this year. But this chart is just strictly residential values.
Councilmember Goodman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Todd, can you just, I'm interested in getting the list of the 59 people in my ward, and I bet other people might be interested in that as well. Can you just forward that by ward to our offices electronically? It's
Through the
slide
chair,
4.
Councilmember Goodman, I can absolutely do that. Yes, yes, I will.
I don't
We
need
have,
every-
we have all the individual ones in your attachments, but they're not broken out by ward, and I think that.
Right, and it would take a lot to look through all of them.
Absolutely.
So
So-
if I could, I don't have to have it today.
Yep.
But if I could just get electronically the list of people in my ward, I would assume other people might want that as well.
Yes, we will absolutely do that, and I think we can turn that around in about 2 or 3 days.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Yang.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Todd, two questions. The first one, appeals by ward 2014, there's the red and blue. What does each represent?
I'm sorry, there should have been a legend on this. That is the 2013 comparison to 2014.
Got it.
Yes.
So red is 2014 then, right?
That is correct.
Okay. And, just with the Board of Appeals and Equalization applicants by year, we're seeing, in 2006 it was very low. It went to 2009, which was 1,300, and then 2013 was 302, and 2014 was 540. Can you explain that increase from 2013 to 2014? Or can you just take a stab at it?
Sure. Well, 2013, I think there's, if we were to take a look at what we did for assessed values, it was a fairly flat year. The assessor's office, for the most part, we saw that the market had flattened out. We were starting to see values get better, but for the most part, there weren't enough sales for us to really significantly move the market. So as far as we were concerned, we held just about all values in 2013 unless there was something that told us differently. And then that was the same year we were able to get, I think the council and our elected officials were able to secure additional local government aid. And in that year, property taxes went down and values were held the same. So most people were relatively happy with the numbers they were seeing.
Any other questions? Seeing no more questions, I move approval of the 2014 Board of Appeal and Equalization Report. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion is adopted. Thank you very much. And I would like to thank the staff at the clerk's office as well as our assessor for the hard work they've done. Thank you very much. And seeing no more business before the committee, we are adjourned. Thank you.